Hello everyone! This is Loopy Liz and welcome back to Planet Zoo, where we are building another habitat today, of course. Yes, for this speed build, we will be focusing on the Snow Leopard. Yes, I know things look a little bit weird right now, but work with me here. I was sculpting terrain, and pretty much like the first half of this video is just me sculpting terrain. I really wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit more mountainous sort of thing, like a little mountainy sort of habitat for the snow leopards. And I think at the end of it, it looks pretty decent. So, snow leopards. They are one of the most majestic big cats in the world. Found in the high mountains of Asia, they are built for the cold and spend their lives crossing thousands of kilometers to feed and breed. Because they live in such remote areas, people are still currently learning about the behavior, but they are very beautiful and some facts are known about them already, so I got some stuff to share for you guys. But yes, they are known to live in mountainous areas, so this is specifically why I wanted to introduce more of like a mountainy kind of habitat for these snow leopards. I will be having 2 snow leopards in this habitat, and they get across the area pretty good, so I'm really happy with how they move along everywhere. Much like I did with the red panda habitat, I wanted a little window in this one to allow for visitors to see the snow leopards while they are sleeping. Because, come on, if they're far away in a little cave, then it's a bit more harder to see them when they are sleeping, and, you know, when you visit the zoo, you want every opportunity to be able to see the animal. So this allows another opportunity to get a little bit more close up with the animal. And I like that aspect of it, because I enjoy seeing this in zoos when I go to zoos as well. Because it's more of an intimate viewing. Anyway, I think it's time for a little fact, don't you? The fur on a snow leopard's stomach is nearly 5 inches thick to help them survive in cold, harsh mountain climates. Now, I don't know about you, but if I lived in that kind of climate, I would also want 5 inches thick worth of fur all over, to be honest. Because they live in very, very cold environments, and there's mostly snow everywhere where they live. Bouncing off of that fact, a WWF study recorded snow leopards living at the highest altitude ever documented for big cats. 5,859 meters above sea level. Now that's pretty high. Anyway, here I am adding in the glass panes for the little viewing area into where they sleep. I think it's very simple, very, very simple. Didn't want to go too crazy with it, but of course you could add some rock work around it to make it look prettier. But I am more of a simple builder at the moment. I kind of do as I want and do as I please and keep things nice and simple. Okay, so now we are actually moving on to the rock work, and there is a lot of rocks in this habitat. For some of it, I did just use the rock terrain, but a lot of it is placed rocks, carefully placed rocks, especially where I feel like they could try and get out of the habitat. Of course, if they did go on this part where I'm placing the rocks now, they wouldn't be able to jump down from that part. But they totally could, if they want to, just jump in with the visitors. And because I put the null barrier around that area specifically, they could totally just jump on the path. And I don't think the visitors would actually react, because they are technically still within the barrier. So if you want to test that out and remove the rocks for a bit of fun, feel free to do so. Because that could be quite interesting. I've not actually looked into the null barrier situation, whether you can actually kind of trick people into thinking that the animal is secure when actually they're right under your feet. That would be quite cool to experiment with. Now, snow leopards are mostly solitary in nature, and they only tend to interact with other leopards during the breeding season. Snow leopard cubs will stay with their mothers for at least 18 months, but they may never meet again once they split up and start wandering the vast mountain expanses independently. As you can see here, I am lifting the terrain up again, just a little bit around the edges. The reason for this is I was having trouble actually making sure that the snow leopards wouldn't be able to jump up there and out of the habitat by going all the way around. The rocks were doing it, the rocks were working well for it, but there was also that issue of them being able to jump quite high. They can actually jump fairly high. In the game, you need a 300-meter long or tall fence to be able to contain them. Obviously, we're not using much fencing here. We don't like to use that much barriers on my channel. I'm not sure why anymore. I did at the beginning, but now I'm going for the more natural elements of securing the animals. I don't know why. I kind of do like that look more than just the barriers. It does give it more of a realism factor, as long as you can place the items right. But yeah, I do like blocking animals in via terrain or via the rock work that I do as well. I love messing around with rocks. They do add a much needed element of realism when you place them correctly enough. Noting what I just said about the barrier height needed in game for these animals, snow leopards can actually jump pretty far. They can actually jump as far as 15 meters. And perhaps more impressive than that, they can jump 6 meters vertically. That is high enough to reach the gutter on an average 2-story house. So think about your house. If you live in a 2-story house, then look up. That is how far they can actually jump. That is how high they can jump, rather. So that is very, very impressive. They are very impressive animals, I will say that. So yes, rock work, rock work, rock work. I have been placing rocks for a long time. I placed a lot of rocks in this habitat, there is no denying that. I wanted to make sure everything looked as natural as possible with the rock placement as well. So I kind of wanted to have, if there was some rocks coming off the wall a bit low down, then there would be some below as if they're kind of falling a little bit, or like they were connected a little bit in the ground. And also I think the rock terrain will help this a lot, because it does help connect things around a little bit more than just making the rocks touch each other. Touch together more than they need to, really. Now remember, I am always open to feedback. If you feel like I could have done something a little differently with this habitat, or I could have added something that would have made it look a bit better, anything like that, just feel free to leave feedback on this down below, because it does help me in the future with more habitats. It will help me be able to improve on my habitats in the future and make sure that they look better than the last one that I've made, because that's what I like to do. I like to try and like make it so I'm constantly improving with these habitats. So feel free to let me know what you think of this one, because this is a bit different than any of the other ones I've done so far, and I quite like it. I'm pretty happy with how it turns out. Obviously, no one's perfect, nothing is perfect. Always room for improvement, even if it's just a little bit. So when it came to foliage in this habitat, I did not want to go too crazy. I wanted little clusters of vegetation here and there, just a little bit near the rock work, near the trees that I placed in. Nothing too crazy, because ultimately this whole area is going to be covered in snow. And that looks impressive enough, to be honest. You don't need to overdo the vegetation in this habitat, I feel. But for that area right there, it looked very blank, so I did add some vines, and I like the look of how that looks right there. I did end up putting some rocks around the edges because it looked very man-made, so I wanted to kind of hide the edge at the top, just to make it look as if that's just very natural, and that's just been there for a long time, slowly growing downwards. Okay, so just to finish up, I'm just adding a bit more terrain differences in the ground, some more grassy patches by the foliage, and now we get to see the snow leopards in action! Here they are, and it's snowing, and the snow falls perfectly against the rocks. It looks very, very beautiful in my eyes, and I think you'll agree that the snow really does have a wonderful effect on this terrain. The snow leopards seem really happy as well. They love the fact that there's so much snow around, and I think they have plenty of room to run around. There's definitely plenty of room in here for 2 snow leopards and some cubs, because obviously they are solitary animals, so they are going to want their alone time. So there is plenty of space for them to just kind of wander as they please, with each other or alone. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could like, comment, subscribe, share this video, I'd really appreciate that too. And I will see you in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.